John Wyble's in with us. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing very well. Wait, we're barely 2 weeks in. Are you losing your voice?
No,
Okay.
I feel like there's some pollen issue or
There's
something
a
going
lot.
on because
Yeah.
yesterday I was struggling.
Well, it's like kids always get sick the second week of school because you're around all the new germs and whatnot. And y'all are around all the new germs right now. So.
Right. And I spent last weekend with my little grands in Florida. So
really mixing it up. I was out at the Capitol yesterday. I love the beginning of a session. I was out there yesterday. It was LSU day, so I wanted to roam around the lobby, the
Memorial Hall.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just kind of check in with the different booths. But you can't help but be like a moth to the flame, just be attracted to all the energy that goes into the beginning of a session.
Right.
And you are part of the class of 23. And y'all, just baptism by fire last year. You basically became a permanent Baton Rouge resident because there were so many special sessions. Where's that level of energy this year? Are y'all still at a fever pitch?
I think the fever pitch is so high that even Mike the Tiger couldn't contain himself yesterday. He had to go and make an appearance and testify on a committee that I happen to be in. But the class of 23.
Wait, stop. The costume.
Yeah.
No. We're not taking another Omar route here. No.
Oh.
I was going to say, you know how many ticked off people there would be if Mike the Tiger won't go in the stadium, but he would go in the Capitol?
There's no live tiger at the stadium.
Thank you. All right.
It was
no live tiger in the Capitol
LSU day at the.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. So we had all the mascots.
Okay.
But it's pretty fun. But I've read a couple places where the class of 23, this freshman class, is the most reform-minded legislative class in the history of Louisiana. And I'd say our legislature, our energy is right where it needs to be. The fever pitch, the enthusiasm, we're right where we need to be. We know that a stronger Louisiana is right around the corner. We're keeping fighting.
And we're gonna have the governor coming up at 8:15.
Yep.
And there's a lot of alignment there as well. I think a lot of y'all's success last year and a lot of your success moving forward is based off the fact that you've got a governor who is going to sign a lot of what y'all like. There's been previous reform-minded legislatures, but they've run into brick walls on the fourth floor. Y'all have an added benefit of having, being able to row in the same direction.
You just think about the laundry list, Brian. All the things we've already reformed. Yesterday, we moved out of committee reforming Workforce Commission, child welfare, insurance, all of those great things. It's incredible. It's generational reforms. And this governor has stepped up time and time again. Hey, we want to help families who need assistance also earn and acquire gainful employment skills, work skills.
I know where you're going with this.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
The two words I've heard the most over the last 2 weeks.
One door.
Yes, everywhere.
It is incredible.
It is omnipresent right now.
It is incredible. Look, I've been a part of groups for probably over 15 years who've only dreamed of this. And now we have a governor who says, not only like, hey, let's talk about it, let's make it happen. There's so much synergy where we are. Every once in a while, there's a little difference on how we see things. But I think the energy and the vision for the Louisiana that those of us were born and raised here have just longed for is within our grasp.
We have State Representative John Wyble in with us, talking about the legislative session. It's so tough to get to everything.
Right.
Because it's just, y'all got a lot of moving pieces right now.
There's a lot of moving pieces.
So I talked to my guy, Danny, over at 5 Star. He's here if you need him, 271-4096. You've got a graduate. You want to put that big graduate sign in the yard? He's got you covered. 271-4096. But so many moving pieces going on at the legislative session right now that we got to free up more time for y'all somewhere.
Somewhere.
Right? And I'm not doing a 4th hour, so
no.
Well, because if nothing else, y'all would already be working at that point. So
right.
Right. Let's start to dig in on a few individual bills. Do you want to start with any of yours, or do you want to go broader picture with the insurance battles going on?
Yeah, I think the insurance issue is so important, Brian. We talk about all the reforms and those great things are moving forward. But if we don't do something where our families cannot simply afford their insurance, I'm not sure how useful any of the other reforms are.
Okay, I'm glad you said it.
Yep.
Because there is a lot of agreement on both sides on a lot of different things. It's like a 80-20, maybe a 75-25. But it's in that remaining 25% that all the real difference gets done.
I think that's fair.
Okay.
Yes.
So how do we conquer that? And I realize we're all fixating on just a few individual bills. And you can say, oh, I passed 20 bills to help insurance. But without those few pivotal ones, how do we get over that hump where there's such a disagreement for so many years?
Yeah, look, I think you're absolutely right. There are a few bills, a handful of bills that are critical to getting to the core problem of the issue that we're trying to solve. But the reality is, like this year, there's a package, I want to say, gosh, 40, 50 bills that all do add value to reforming insurance in Louisiana, property insurance, automobile insurance, all the things that are modeled after other states have done. And so, yes, we do have to take many bites at the apple, if you will. But obviously, there are some critical bills in there that, there may be a little disagreement about how we get to the end result. But as this is a long process.
Yeah,
and this is part of the process.
Talk about a couple of the individual bills. Mike Mellerine, another your class of 23 there.
Yep.
He's got a bill that gets rid of the housing presumption. I'm a huge fan of this bill.
So am I.
So this feels like one that is going to make it to and across the governor's desk. Am I wrong in assuming that?
Well, listen, I'm going to be optimistic, and because I believe it. I believe the large majority of these bills are going to make it up to the fourth floor.
Okay.
I believe that the will of our people. I mean, we hear about these things you go to church, you go to the grocery, you go to a school function, wherever you want to go. There's so much discussion and focus. So I'm going to contend as of now, and you can tell me I was either right or wrong come June 12th. But I believe the majority of these are going to get through the process in a way that helps our people be able to afford insurance. But Housley, yes, one of those critical pieces. And I think it's going to help lead the way for some significant reforms for us going forward.
Housing presumption, by the way, is if you had a previous injury and you get into a car accident, as it stands right now, they can't even ask if you had the previous injury. So, like, for example, if you had the example I've been using is if after senior year at high school you slid into second base at Bogalusa High playing Legion ball, if I got into a car accident tomorrow, I could say, oh, hey, look, my bum knee is because of the car accident. When in reality, if you go to my Facebook page, you probably see me wearing a knee brace a million times. That sort of thing could get cleared up. Medical transparency is going to be a little bit tougher.
Right. But I do think it's got a good opportunity to get through the process. I think that's one of those things that we can do where really we just put information out on the table and we make informed decisions. All of these are not to hinder any individual from obviously recovering and being made whole. They're just.
But what defines whole?
Well, and I think that's the critical point.
Right. To me, defining what makes me whole means the money that came out of my pocket is the money I should get back, not the money that's on some random invoice, not what could, quote unquote, could have been billed. What actually came out of my pocket makes me whole.
Yes.
And, other damages and whatnot, that's where we run into problems here, because twice as many people file medical claims in Louisiana than any other state in the nation.
Right. And that's where, some of the disparity, a lot of the disparity comes from. And so I think the medical transparency piece will really help address a lot of that.
We've got 2 minutes left with State Representative John Wyble, and not going to be his last visit during this session. That's, I pass you a lot. Yeah.
Anytime. No.
I'm going to give you the open floor for these last 2 minutes. What else are you keeping an eye on that you think will make a difference?
Well, just to go back real quickly to One Door, that by Representative Baralt, that, I mentioned to a member of the governor's staff yesterday on the floor of the House, in the House chamber, I said, you may not realize it now, but 30 years from now, if we get this through, you're going to be sitting holding your grandchild in your lap, and you're going to realize how transformative this was, and you were a part of it. I think it's that important. the reorganization of child and family services.
Yes.
And my background with CASA and CACs,
of course,
and all of those things. I have a math, comprehensive math and numeracy reform that mirrors the literacy reforms that we've been doing in the K-3 space.
Is that on the air? I'm so sorry.
No, it's good.
We're still on Facebook Live if you want to go, because we're going to run out of time now.
It's fine.
All right. So numeracy.
But the numeracy reforms mirror the literacy reforms in the K-3 space. It made it out of House Education yesterday. It's transformative legislation. The last thing I'll say,
you're good.
I did drop a bill this week that looks at personal income tax and reductions and increasing standard deductions. My intentions in that is to really look at, as we try to phase out the personal income tax, is to look at our working poor, our lower wage earners first, so that by 2030 we could phase out income tax for those individuals making $50,000 or less, and those households or families making $150,000 or less.
Oh, wow.
Prioritize phasing out their income tax, because then it attracts young professional couples back to Louisiana. It helps us retain working families. And, as a family man, myself and you, working families, you give them the savings in income tax, they're going to spend it in sales tax because the cost of the family is so ridiculous.
100%. And that's where we're going to pick up next time. I want to talk about that bill specifically next time. He's State Representative John Wyble.